Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 7128-328-001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also check us out on Love 101 FM Facebook Live and YouTube Live. In the main and second watches today, whatever became of the inquiry concerning the FinSact entrepreneurs? In our social media question, we ask, how do you feel about becoming an entrepreneur or starting a business now in light of the challenges of the FinSact entrepreneurs? Share your response in our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube Live, and also on WhatsApp 876-9973125 with your text and voice notes using hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your comments later on in the program, but first, here's our quote.
This morning's I quote is not making others happy the best happiness, Henry Amen. Stokely?
The main watch will be back after this break.
Out of many one people, out of many one juice, out of many real fruit, but there ain't no substitute. We put the best fruit in, pour out enough love in, bring out the sunshine in the true juice. This is the juice of Jamaica. Every fruit, every tropical flavor. When you feel the heat, you know say you are beat true juice with your neighbor. Out of many, one juice, true juice.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
Spring Life Worship Center, Toronto, Canada, in association with House of Prayer Global Gospel Ministries, presents Women's Conference 2021 under the theme Battle for Access. Listen today, Wednesday, April 28 at 7 p.m. for a recording of the service with speaker, Minister Carolyn Thomas. Battle for Access, the Women's Conference with a difference. Don't miss it.
For your glory, we're taking. Rain or shine, any weather. When we go bold, we go virgin. Quality paint, no faded colors. When we go bold, we go virgin. Let your imagination run free. Pick a color, any color for the space what you need. When we say it bold, that mean it not peel. Quality in every color, 7-year guarantee. When we go bold, we go virgin. Watch your color. When we go bold, we go virgin. Rain or shine, any color you need. When we go bold, we go virgin.
You're invited to listen to Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. We'll give you tips on how to make your money count, how to save, and how to grow your worth. It's all inside Dollars and Cents, brought to you by BPM Financial Limited, taking you higher. That's Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. on the family station Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. It is now time for the main watch. On January 29th, 1997, the Financial Sector Adjustment Company Limited, FinSac, for short, was established with a specific mandate from the government to resolve the problems of solvency and liquidity being experienced by the financial sector. Whatever became of the inquiry in relation to FinTech, and how can another such fallout in the entrepreneurial sector be prevented? With us today to have a discussion around this, Yola Gray Baker, President, Association of FinTech Entrepreneurs, and Hugh Johnson, President, Small Business Association of Jamaica. Good morning, Yola Gray Baker, and good morning, Hugh Johnson.
Good morning to you. Okay.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you both. And yes.
If I may correct you, a slight correction here. I'm not the president of a small business. I'm the immediate past president of the Small Business Association of Jamaica.
Immediate past president, I see. But you're still very much a member of the association, a part of the leadership, nevertheless.
Yeah, I'm still a director on the board, and I'm involved in the runnings of the organization.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, Yola Gray Baker, can you, obviously we can't do everything in one program this morning, only because of time.
Yeah.
But can you give us a synopsis of what happened in relation to the financial meltdown of the 1990s? And how did it affect you as a businesswoman?
Well, while the meltdown was going on, one of the things that I would like to address mostly is the banking institutions, because what came out of the inquiry, as well as discoveries that were made after the inquiry, is that the borrowers, when they went to the bank to get loans to do their businesses or whatever, once they left their title at the bank, depending on the period of time that it would take them for repayment of such loans, persons in the bank, including bank managers, were using titles of these debtors to acquire loans for themselves.
Stick up in 1 second, Yola Gray Baker. Two things. One, you sort of jump in at the middle. Not your fault, really. Not saying you did the wrong thing, but just to help the listeners, we wouldn't mind a little bit of the background before you get into these specifics. And secondly, in terms of the specifics you just mentioned, you just said something which is quite serious. You did indicate that persons were doing certain things with security documents. You have evidence that this is what certain bank managers were doing, Yola Gray Baker?
Yes, we do. And the reason why I brought this up at this point.
When you say you have the evidence, have you taken this evidence to the relevant authorities for the relevant steps to be taken in relation to what these actions were, or the relevant debtors
first of
these
all,
matters to the relevant authorities?
Who would be the relevant authorities? The government instituted the inquiry, and some of these were addressed at the inquiry. So
I see.
One of the reasons why I brought it up at this point is the fact that unknown to the debtors that these were happening, this was one of the contributing factors to the meltdown. We didn't know at the time.
I see.
And when the inquiry started, as a matter of fact, the then Finance Minister, Dr. Davis, did say at the inquiry in his testimony that the banks were dealing in activities that would turn his hair white.
I see.
He didn't specify what those activities were. However, it is when we looked at the policies that governed FinTech, we saw in those policies that were made up prior to the inquiry that documents were sent to the Director of Public Prosecution.
Yes.
We don't know what documents that were sent then. No, it's after the inquiry and during the inquiry that we realized that when debtors are coming forward with documentation to prove there was a contractor from Mandeville who has died since. He had millions of dollars registered at the title's office on his loan, on his title, that he knew nothing of.
That he knew nothing of.
He knew nothing of that.
And this you're saying came out in the inquiry?
Well, yes. He particularly did not testify, not him, because his doctor advised him that they didn't think his heart could take it, so he didn't. But there were others who testified at the inquiry to the same. Mr. Meshach Willis, the gentleman who used crutches, the handicapped, that's the same thing that happened to him. Mr. Willis was just a gentleman buying of stuff, going around the island selling, went to the bank when he got a contract to do something for schools. He went to the bank and the bank manager gave him a loan, which he eventually never even pulled down on any of the loan, only to find this is a loan of $140,000. This is not a lot of money. Yet he was thrown out of his house for claiming that he owed $11 million.
And you have evidence of this too, Mrs.
Yes,
Yola
he has his evidence, his documentation.
Very interesting. And not. I know I'm cutting you. I know I'm cutting you, Mr. Gray Baker, but I want to bring in Mr. Johnson. Mr. Hugh Johnson, sir.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Just before we go to the break, we have already heard a mouthful from Yola Gray Baker, in her capacity as the person who is the head of the Association of Intact Entrepreneurs. Mr. Johnson, we have heard many times that Jamaican business persons, especially when they're starting small, they go through a lot of challenges. How does anything that Miss Yola Gray Baker strike you, sir?
All that she has said is at the heart of the entrepreneurship in Jamaica, because of no fault of theirs. An entrepreneur in Jamaica was devastated by this action of government. We realize, for the most part, what happened, and to our disappointment is that both administrations have decided to, after spending millions of taxpayers' dollars, refuse to release the report to the public. And it is rumored that it's because government gonna be held back.
Before you get it, can I stop you 1 second, Mr. Johnson? We deal with facts on the Morning Watch. We can't touch rumor. If it's something factual that you can prove and establish, feel free to say it, sir. But the rumor, we can't afford to get into the realm of rumor. Mr. Johnson.
And Sir Dudley, that is why I said rumor, because I don't have the facts. It is for whomever have the clarity to this issue should come forward and clear the air. We are not saying that it is so, but we have heard that it's because government will be held liable for the devastation of this sector. Why they are hiding it? So can someone come clean and tell us?
You mean liable or libelous? Liable.
Libelous. But notwithstanding.
You mean the government would be held responsible? That's what you mean?
Correct. Because it was, as pointed out earlier, you would go to the bank and you agree to an interest rate of 10%. Within a year, you are paying an interest rate of 50%. Where on God's earth can that happen? Your business could not absorb that, so you must go under. And that was governmental policy that caused that to happen.
I see. Yola Gray Baker, we're almost up. Well, we're actually at the break now. Let's take the break and return. The Morning Watch will be right back.
Jamaica Banana Board, Green Gold, Life Health, and the Environment. The time brought to you by the Jamaica Banana Board is
7:15.
Entrepreneurs, now you've got more support in your corner. Introducing Sagicor Bank Business Resource Center, where entrepreneurs benefit from free training in business management, financial support and guidance from pros, as well as research capabilities. Sagicor Bank, in partnership with the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, brings you this first center of its kind for small entrepreneurs to develop and grow. Let's help you take your business to the next level of success. Contact Sagicor Bank Business Resource Center today. WhatsApp 876-997-3745.
You are the buzz, 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 buzz. You are the zing, 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 zing. You are the you are the click, 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 click. You are the pop, pop, pop. You are the I in Jamaica. So keep fizzing for the love of it. Pepsi.
Flow is connecting Jamaica to fiber fast internet. Over 250 communities island-wide have received upgrades since last year, with many more to come. Flow is committed to giving more Jamaicans better internet access. And with over $40 billion invested, our network grows stronger each day. Visit a Flow store today or call 1-800-804-2994 to find out if you can upgrade to the fiber fast experience on Jamaica's largest network.
You're invited to listen to Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. We'll give you tips on how to make your money count, how to save, and how to grow your worth. It's all inside Dollars and Cents, brought to you by BPM Financial Limited, taking you higher. That's Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Spring Life Worship Center, Toronto, Canada, in association with House of Prayer Global Gospel Ministries, presents Women's Conference 2021 under the theme Battle for Access. Listen today, Wednesday, April 28th at 7 p.m. for a recording of the service with speaker, Minister Carolyn Thomas. Battle for Access, the Women's Conference with a difference. Don't miss it.
For your glory, we're taking territory.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. We are looking today at the matter of the FinSact entrepreneurs. Whatever became of the inquiry concerning the FinSact entrepreneurs. And this is for both the first watch, the main watch, and the second watch. And our guests are President, Association of FinSact Entrepreneurs, Yola Gray Baker, and immediate past President of the Small Business Association of Jamaica, Mr. Hugh Johnson. Just prior to the break, we were looking at a number of issues, but we came upon the break and I want to look a little bit at there is a story here from as far back as 2011, May 22, 2011, when this was published. And it was published in the Gleaner. And it says, the name FinSac, Financial Sector Adjustment Company, has evolved into a uniquely ubiquitous metaphor for the economic malady that crippled the Jamaican economy since the 1990s and continues to this day, then 2011, to scar the economic lives of many now starting. This 2 decades long economic nightmare blighted the economy and plunged the country into a vortex of economic decline with thousands of businesses closing their doors. It locked Jamaica out of the great global economic surge that took place during the 1990s and 2000s. And today, of course, then 2011, it has left us lagging behind other countries which have already broken free from the recent great global recession in which we still remain entangled. Yola Gray Baker, do you think that the descriptions in that paragraph just read from that expertise in the Gleaner some 10 years ago now, almost. Do you think any of that still applies today?
Definitely. And before you go there, Mr. Johnson mentioned that the interest rate went up 50% to 50%. It went up as much as 120%. Now, today, personally, I am an example.
Well, can I stop you? Can I stop you 1 second, Miss Gray? Today, the interest rates are much lower.
Well, today, yes. But back then, it went up to as much as 120%.
Okay.
And that is my husband's personal experience. Now, for today, and the entrepreneurs have never, especially those who testified at the inquiry, have not been able to get any loans, any bank facilities in order to restart businesses or to survive.
What do you mean by that, Yola Gray Baker? Are you saying that why can't, to your knowledge, why can't they access loan facilities?
That's a good question, because it seemed to me and others in the association that we have been blacklisted because we testified at the inquiry. And one of the reasons for that, with my personal experience, my business was fashion designing and selling of ladies' ready-to-wear. Just a couple of years ago, I applied. I went to about 4 different banking institutions in Jamaica to get loans to do my business. And I have not been able to. I go overseas. I do fashion show, and I get opportunities over there. My designs were in Macy's. Once they came to one of my fashion shows, saw the design, and had the interest. And I was able to put my design in Macy's in Fort Lauderdale, Aventura Mall. My designs are now in Dubai. I cannot get funds in Jamaica to do it.
So you're saying that you're able to get loan financing overseas, but not in Jamaica?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Hugh Johnson, I am, well, may I ask you a question, Yola Gray Baker? When banks are assessing credit, they look at things such as collateral, etc. You can't say necessarily what was in the mind of the banker dealing with you when he was assessing you assessing your business, etc., as a risk, or yourself. But what sort of answers were you given in relation to why any loan was either denied or why you got no reply, as the case might have been? What answers did you get?
From one institution, I was literally told, Yola, you will not be able to get any loans in Jamaica because you're being sabotaged. I got a grant from the European Union working through the Small Business Administration back just before FinSAC, actually. No, it was during FinSAC and after. And I got the grant, did all my work to get my business on track.
But the loan now has to be disbursed through a commercial bank.
But no, I did get it was dispersed through JAMPRO.
Dispersed through JAMPRO, okay.
So after that, I needed more funds to do the business because I had orders from overseas. I'd done shows over there. I got orders, come back to Jamaica, and just as working capital, I could not get any money. And I was literally told. As a matter of fact, I had a boutique opened in New Kingston. And the funds were to have gone through a government agency.
And you were literally told what, Miss Baker?
And I was literally
without
told,
calling names?
I was literally told from someone who worked at the agency, in confidence.
Naturally, yes.
That I would not be getting a loan because I was being sabotaged because of FinSAC. I was literally told that. So
what you just said sounds so outrageous, Miss Yola Gray Baker, but I can't say you're not speaking the truth. The person who told it is the relevant person from, you said an agency. You mean a government agency or a private sector agency?
Government agency.
Oh, I see. Hugh Johnson, sir. Mr.
Yes,
Johnson,
I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Yola Gray Baker just said some earth-shattering things a moment ago. I don't know if you have anything to reply or to add or to comment on, because this one seems to be from another um, solar system somewhere out there in the universe. Any comments?
If you operate in our sphere and have the experience, it wouldn't be strange to you, because I've had even more egregious experience said to me by individual than what was articulated a while ago by Ms. Baker. But those are just a symptom of a more fundamental, deep-seated problem. There are steep classism in this country. World Bank report, IMF report shows that one of the problems to our growth.
How does that come into the discussion, Mr. Johnson? And I know I'm cutting it, but how does what you are describing as steep classism factor into the equation? We're talking about fintech entrepreneurs here.
Can I share with you that, if I may go back a bit, FinSac was to correct a government policy malpractice. So FinSac within itself was a vehicle to salvage the debacle that was caused by government policy. I know personally of persons who never borrowed any money. Their title end up in the bank. They were in debt in millions, just wanting to save their business, trying to reach out to FinSac to say, listen me, you say I owe you 50 million, let me give you up all of it, because it's evident that nothing goes that way. It's just some fraudulent activities in the bank. So let me meet you halfway. They say no way, but a foreigner or a government minister can get the same property for probably 5 cents in the dollar when I was offering you 50 cents in the dollar. And there are myriad of experience, not one, not two, dozens of experience across the board like that, which I don't really want to get into now. But if we don't fix the fundamental issue, we'll have another FinSac 10 years down the road. That is why I went there.
Very interesting, Mr. Johnson.
I'll concur with Mr. Johnson on that, Stokely, because I know of persons who that literally occurred with them.
In other words, you're saying the entrepreneur would have paid more on the dollar, but someone else did for less.
Who offered
the dollar.
I bought their properties for so much more, yet their properties end up being given away.
Well, maybe not given away in the literal sense, but I think we know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a piece here, 2019, January 19th, 2019. There, and your photograph is there, Yola Gray Baker. The caption is "Not 1 cent more for FinSac report. Government takes hard line in the face of a request for more money." Do you want to comment on that? Well, maybe you can do so right after the break. We're upon the break now. Stay with us on the Morning Watch. Very interesting. Stay with us for the second watch. We'll be right back.
Tropical race 4 disease, TR4, is a soil-borne disease that has the potential to wipe out the Jamaican banana and plantain crops. Farmers and visitors must disinfect shoes and tools before entering farms daily. If your banana or plantain crops seem to be wilting, call the Banana Board at 876-922-5490 or 876-922-4327. Jamaica Banana Board, Green Gold, Life Health, and the Environment.
JN Bank Live Online Banking is your quick and easy banking that's safe and secure. Sign up today. Visit jnbank.com. JN Bank will help you find a way. The time is
7:30.
Jamaicans, our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines have been displaced by recent volcanic eruptions and need our help. The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development has set up a relief fund to supplement the logistic support being offered by the Jamaican government. Play your part by donating to Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management ODPEM account number 212-387-304 at National Commercial Bank, Oxford Place Branch. That's account number 212-387-304. Account name ODPEM. We are one Caribbean. Let's all lend a helping hand. A message from the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development.
This is the 20th anniversary of Digicel, so let's celebrate. Remember, give me some minutes. Some sauce and a Digicel them a top. Catch you dance, everybody do a dance. Do the dance, set for the summer dance. Everybody, shake your phone, shake your wings, shake your phone, shake your wings. Yeah, we better together. Digicel, got a feeling when the lights low. Digicel, got a feeling when the lights low. Digicel, let's celebrate with Digicel. Made in Jamaica, there since 2001.
Spring Life Worship Center, Toronto, Canada, in association with House of Prayer Global Gospel Ministries, presents Women's Conference 2021 under the theme Battle for Access. Listen today, Wednesday, April 28 at 7 p.m. for a recording of the service with speaker, Minister Carolyn Thomas. Battle for Access, the Women's Conference with a difference. Don't miss it.
For your glory, we're taking territory.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. Thanks for staying with us. Let's take a look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we take a quick look here at the Gleaner. We have a lead story here. Kid, wife, watch as dad slain. Very troubling story there, and it continues to beg the question as to when will these sorts of things stop happening in Jamaica. The amount of trauma so many children have experienced, for example, watching these things happen to their family members, it is really horrific. Returning to the Jamaica Observer here, we have opposition calls for policy on digital services tax. And another story here in the Observer, Senate email rift widens. The story on the Senate email rift widening, there's a photograph there of Senator Tamina Johnson-Smith, and I'll just squeeze in one more here from the Observer. Jamaican-born woman is the new sheriff of Robin Hood's Nottingham, England. Very interesting there. Jamaican-born woman is the new sheriff of Robin Hood, Nottingham, England. Those and many other stories in both major daily newspapers. Of course, coming up next, we will be looking at our seen and heard, and persons need to remember that our feedback question is, how do you feel about becoming an entrepreneur or starting a business now in light of the challenges of the FINS Act entrepreneurs? And of course, leave your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube Live, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 with your texts and voice notes using hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
You're invited to listen to Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. We'll give you tips on how to make your money count, how to save, and how to grow your worth. It's all inside Dollars and Cents, brought to you by BPM Financial Limited, taking you higher. That's Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Spring Life Worship Center, Toronto, Canada, in association with House of Prayer Global Gospel Ministries, presents Women's Conference 2021 under the theme Battle for Access. Listen today, Wednesday, April 28th at 7 p.m. for a recording of the service with speaker Minister Carolyn Thomas. Battle for Access, the Women's Conference with a difference. Don't miss it.
For your glory, we're taking territory.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Oh, welcome back, good tunes to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. Shivani, any messages, voice notes that can be played or read?
Yes, I have a voice note here of one of our listeners in 11 Miles, Bull Bay.
Morning to you, dear, and morning watch. I am so happy for this discussion this morning because this is the fact that this lady just say, because my uncle was a blatant victim of this what happened, because he lost his house and almost live on the street because of this. You hear? Okay, so it is a fact that she's saying and she's talking. Even to the fact that when he decided that he would have bought, when he realized that they were selling his house after this man never won a dollar on his house, and him realized they were doing it, and he offered to bought back the house. They deny him the opportunity of buying back the house. Them just go there, take him out and throw him out on the street, him things and every single thing the man worked for over the years. He lost it.
Well, we heard, listeners, thanks for staying with us. There was a slight challenge with the line. Thanks for staying with us. Well, we heard the voice note in relation to that particular listener. We continue our discussion on FinSAC, which is what became of the inquiry and how we can prevent another such fallout in the entrepreneurial sector. Our guests are Yola Gray Baker, President, Association of FinSAC Entrepreneurs, and Hugh Johnson, President, immediate past President, Small Business Association of Jamaica. Yola Gray Baker, you heard that voice note. What do you make of it?
That happened to so many people. You know, I tell you something. What the personal effect on the persons who were FinSAC and who lost their properties was so traumatic, because basically what would happen, the bailiff shows up at the house one morning and literally throws them out. And as she said, her husband probably, or whoever the person is, had no loan. There were instances where there were no loans. This issue remains with the Jamaican public, though, who go to the bank or any banking institution to borrow money. Usually they will pay off the money, but they don't go back to the bank to pick up their titles. And that's where one of the problems lies. Always monitor your title to see what's happening with it. And when you finish a loan, go pick up your title.
Go and pick up the document, yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you find that people had loans, paid off their loans, neglected to go back and pick up their title. And then what happened? The persons in the bank used it to get funds for themselves. Now, there were instances where I know persons went to the title's office while the inquiry was going on and was not able even to see their titles. They were not able to get statement of account. We sent under...
When you say they couldn't get when you say they couldn't get to see their title, they mean they went to the National Land Agency Titles Office of Titles, and they weren't able to see a copy of the title?
There was one gentleman in 1988 September. He borrowed $120,000 US to do business because he was in a depressed area in Rollington Town. They didn't want to lend him the money. So he went to 3 of his clients and asked that they would pay the money direct to the bank, which they agreed, and the bank agreed, lent him the $120,000 US. He got that September 1988. He finished the work and paid back that $120,000 in January 1989. He went along his merry way thinking everything was okay. It wasn't until in 2000 and something that he was called one day from his home to say they're throwing his things out on the street. Nobody knew who it was. It happened to be Jamaica Redevelopment Foundation. Because guess what? When he went to the title's office after that, they could not find his title at the title's office.
They couldn't find it?
They could not find it. And the lady turned around and said to him, "Were you FinSac?" He says, "Well, I didn't know I was, but obviously I was." She said, "Okay, well, those titles are not at the title's office. So where are they? Were they removed from the title's office illegally? Because that's where titles belong." We had letters written to FinSac and to Jamaica.
And you can prove this, Miss Yola Gray Baker?
Well, I can't prove that where the titles were because, I'm not...
No, not where the titles were, but that the person told the gentleman that.
Yeah, was told, yeah. I can make contact with the person and let them talk to you.
Okay, so you can establish that the person did in fact say that to the gentleman.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he showed me his bank statements after that, which sometimes you're doing your banking business and you don't take particular notes to your banking statement. That is another issue that Jamaicans do. They don't look and see what is happening within their accounting system. They leave it to others or secretaries in the company, only to see that when the monies were paid back from this gentleman's work from one institution, and he looked at his bank statement, he saw where that money went into the bank, yes, and he saw where a couple of days after that money was withdrawn, that amount was withdrawn. By whom? Nobody knows. They didn't show a check number from which it was withdrawn through. It didn't mention whether it was a loan, nothing.
Miss Gray Baker, I didn't even think this was relevant, but I'm here remembering now. I do recall from many years ago, my own father needed some sort of a loan, and he borrowed the money. And I remember because I had to go to the bank to sign a document. Apparently, I was a beneficiary on a life insurance policy, so I had to co-sign. I didn't pay much attention. I was really just doing it because it was my father. So I signed on. I signed so that he could get the loan. He eventually repaid the loan, but he repaid the loan at a much higher rate, I gather, because FinSac came into the picture at some point.
Yeah.
And I am told that the rates of interest went right up, and he had to pay a lot of money to repay this, what was a fairly modest loan.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that to this day, that life insurance policy was never retrieved or returned. So,
but I tell you something, just recently, I had someone contact me about an insurance policy that she had. This is a person that worked within the government system back then. She's now retired.
Yes.
She took, when she started working in her early 20s, she took out an insurance policy with a certain company. And recently she went now to this company to retrieve and see what she will get from her insurance, only to be told she needs to go to FinTech. She said, what does FinTech have to do with my insurance? So all that money she's been paying every month, where is it? Who has it?
We're upon another break, Yola Gray Baker. We're upon another break, and there is never enough time on the morning watch. But we are going to look at in what ways resolution can be found. Stay with us, Miss Gray Baker, Mr. Johnson. We haven't forgotten you. We'll be right back on the morning watch.
The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness, healthy people, healthy environment is
7:45.
We working on a brighter day, you not have to fret. You know your family secure, you not need no stress. It's like you run a 5K, set the pace, win the race, celebrate, and you still never bust no sweat. We see we brother and we sister, this is how we heal them. Easy now, you and Guardian Life, it's a nation we're building. Many hearts, but we all want the same thing. Live secure and live easy.
You are the buzz, 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 buzz. You are the zing, 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 zing. You are the you are the click, 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 click. You are the pop, pop, pop. You are the I information. So keep fizzing for the love of it. Pepsi.
Hello, today we're going to be making breakfast and preparing a lunchbox for school. Let's start with some sugar and salt and wash it down with a nice big glass of more sugar. And now for the lunchbox. Let's put in saturated fat, more salt, and sugar. Foods high in salt, fats, and sugar increase the risk of hypertension, obesity, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. Now more than ever, we have the right to know what's in our food. Give us warning labels on the front of our food packages.
A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, Ministry of Health and Wellness, and partners.
Spring Life Worship Center, Toronto, Canada, in association with House of Prayer Global Gospel Ministries, presents Women's Conference 2021 under the theme Battle for Access. Listen today, Wednesday, April 28th at 7 p.m. for a recording of the service with speaker Minister Carolyn Thomas. Battle for Access, the Women's Conference with a difference. Don't miss it.
For your glory, we're taking territory.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. We continue our discussion, our look at what became of the inquiry, FinSAC inquiry, and how can we prevent another such fallout in the entrepreneurial sector. Our guests are Yola Gray Baker, President of the Association of FinTech Entrepreneurs, and Hugh Johnson, President of the Small Business Association of Jamaica. Yola Gray Baker, just before the 7:30 break, I had pointed to a headline that said I want to return to not 1 cent more for FinTech report. Government takes hard line in the face of a request for more money, published in the Gleaner, and that was in fact January 19th, 2019. And among the items set out in the article or the piece here, we have more than 7 years after the commission ended its sittings, and with more than $150 million spent, government sources say a demand for additional funds to complete the report has been rejected by the administration, which has vowed that no more money will be allocated to complete the report. Before I ask you to comment, Ms. Yola Gray Baker, on that, any thoughts on that that news item there, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir, Marshall. One of the earlier report that you read from the Gleaner that states some social issues as it relates to people taking out, seeing your father being killed. It has a psychological and social effect upon the nation. Study has shown that those who, of that 40,000 persons who were FinSAC, who has not committed suicide, have passed because of stress-related matters, and a good 95% of those that remain They are separated. Loving family that used to work together, they are no longer no more. And it is believed that this whole Finsack debacle has a lot to play on it. So, what are the social implications of that government blunder? Are we reaping the whirlwind from those events? We see killing has gone to a new height, new level. Domestic violence. What role does that have to play with this? We can find out. And we are asking for, as a breather, at least for the government to release the report or what there is of the report so that people can put or try to put closure to it. This is like you have lost a close family member and they just disappear. They just disappear. You don't know if they are dead or alive. You don't know. This is hurting the nation badly. And both administration pledge on campaign trail to release it, but when they get there, it's a different story.
Only the JLP. Was it the PNP the pledge to release the report? I know the JLP did, but the PNP
did.
well.
I don't think the PNP did, just the JLP.
Well, whatever. We're asking for the release of that report so that at least closure can be had.
I see. You all agree, Baker?
Yeah, well, what was the date of that article that you read?
2019.
2019. Okay.
Let me look for the exact month. Yeah. It's at the end of that year or the beginning of the following year that Minister Shaw left the Ministry of Finance, because prior to that, I was told that they were asking for more. No, as far as I was advised, was the report was almost at a completion, getting ready to be sent to the Governor General for it to go to Parliament. I see.
No, and I don't see that there would have been any more funds to be. If the report was at that particular stage of completion, why would they be wanting more funds to do what? So the report should already have been completed.
That is okay. I see what you. So that's your view is that the report should have been completed if it was at the point of being sent to the Governor General. That's what you're saying.
Right. That's right.
That's your view. Okay.
Yeah.
To give you the date, Ms. Gray-Baker, it's Saturday, January 19th, 2019. In fact, the timestamp on this is 12 a.m. and the writer of the piece was Erica Virtue. Yeah. And the headline again, not 1 cent more for FinSack report. Government takes hard line in the face of a request for more money. Yes, continue.
I remember well because Erica did call me to find out if that was, my understanding of what is taking place. And I told her, as far as I know, the report is almost completion. So why would they be wanting more money? I don't think that's the reason. That's probably the reason they gave her. But really, is that the legitimate reason?
Well, we don't want to have conjecture, but in other words, you and her did have a conversation.
Yes.
It's a bit challenging to try to discuss all the relevant facets of this in 1 hour or within an hour. But looking ahead, if you were in a nutshell to sort of summarize how something like this, can be prevented in the future, and what advice would you be giving to entrepreneurs now? I mean, many persons, even persons in regular jobs, they may have a business on the side. I have a law practice, which is a business. Many people own huge establishments at different levels. You have medium, small. You have big businesses, micro enterprises. What advice would you give to them to say, listen, these are the things you really ought to do to make sure that you don't fall into this web or this situation or this challenge? What would you say to them? Your comments, starting with you, Ms. Yola Gray-Baker, and then Mr. Hugh Johnson, wrap up with you, sir.
Okay.
Yola Gray-Baker?
Yeah. First of all, unless and until that FinSack report comes out, which would address a lot of the issues, it can happen again. What I would suggest to any entrepreneur, any business person, don't trust your bank with your legal documents. Always check to see what is happening, where it's going, who has what, who has signed on to what. And whenever you borrow money, make sure and go to the banking institution and pick up your title if a title was submitted as collateral.
Understood. So, well, you used very strong language a moment ago because, well, put it this way, not every single person in every single place is someone you can't trust. But I think what you're in a nutshell saying is that you must exercise your own due diligence. Don't simply just hand over documentation and sort of leave it up as if you're relying on a parent.
Exactly.
I think that's where what that could be what you're really saying. Well, you in fact confirmed that. Mr. Hugh Johnson, your comment?
Thank you, Sir Marshall. Thank you so much. I would say to all persons doing business, be more diligent about your business, because I've seen it. Not only some institution might be by nature would find themselves in that position, but a noble institution, there are staff members within that institution that are not so noble or honorable. So you as a business person must be diligent about your business. Don't be that trustworthy, even after they have that genuine smile at you, but it can be deceptive. So be diligent and observe your business and take precautionary measures to safeguard yourself. That would be my suggestion and advice to all entrepreneur and business persons. We have been there before, don't let it happen again.
Yeah, not just business persons, even persons who open the bank account, savings account, retirement account. Just yesterday, I heard on another program a lady complaining about funds that her husband put into an account and go there, the funds have disappeared. A retirement account. Okay.
Miss Gray Baker, I thought you had said enough things that would have blown the mind of anyone. This is at another level now. The retirement funds, you're saying you heard her. Well, yes, you did say it.
Just yesterday.
You did say it. I was trying to look for the proverb here a while ago, but the Proverbs, many people think the Bible is full of do's and don'ts, but there are a lot of wise gems in the Bible,
Yes.
And there's a proverb that does speak to being diligent in how you carry out your business. And, clearly that proverb now would augur well for many persons in terms of how, they ought to conduct themselves. I want to thank Hugh Johnson, immediate past president of the Small Business Association of Jamaica, for being with us today. And I also want to thank Yola Gray Baker, president of the Association of Intact Entrepreneurs. I do hope and pray that you, Ms. Gray Baker in particular, will have closure in relation to this matter, because clearly it is still resting on the minds of many persons and even their descendants. I want to thank both of you. Thanks for your time and for the discussion, for your many thoughts. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you for hosting us.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, our listeners, for being with us. For information on how to get copies of the program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. You can find it on the Love 101 YouTube channel or on our Facebook Live. You can now also listen to the Morning Watch on our Love 101 app. Download it today and stay connected to the family station, Love 101 FM. This has been the Morning Watch. Have a blessed weekend. Join the Reverend Dr. Dallin Tucson next week, Tuesday, as we continue to set the stage for the discussion of topical and controversial issues. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I am Stokely Marshall, handing it back to Love in the Morning with Shabani Blair.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Need financial breathing space? Switch to a Sagicor Bank mortgage and get